I often hear this statement, you cannot prove a negative. This is a common misconception among many atheists. Yes, you can prove a negative. First of all, you can formulate almost any negative as a positive. For example, negative. There is no pink flying elephant 1 inch in front of my nose that is always there. Positive. Space around me is always governed by the laws of nature, and any flying object is temporary and must be supported by physical means. Second, if you have a testable hypothesis, it's easy to verify it by an experiment and to prove it to be wrong. If you postulate a pink flying elephant in front of my nose that is always there, there are many tests to prove such an elephant non-existent. So this is a common logical fallacy that it is not possible to prove a negative. What you really cannot disprove is an untestable claim. Christianity and Islam make tons of specific testable claims about their gods that can and should be debunked. Theistic gods have many fundamental characteristics like being all-powerful, all-loving, and answering prayers that lead to very specific states of affairs in the world. And these states of affairs are testable. To keep the dead god hypothesis alive, theists constantly resort to fantasizing and special pleading. Oh, but your pink elephant is invisible and transparent. Oh, it doesn't have a temperature. It doesn't have electromagnetic forces holding molecules together, so you cannot sense a touch, and so on. But anyone who is honest can see that God, as he is defined in the Bible, and even loosely defined by theists, can be definitely proven to not exist. The only God that has some remote chance to have ever existed is a lazy, deistic God that is not active and probably long dead. But this God is indistinguishable from a non-existent God, so it's not even interesting to discuss such a God. He is simply unnecessary. Also, it's widely asserted among atheists that the burden of proof is on those who make a claim. Strictly scientifically speaking, this is probably true. However, historically, the burden of proof is actually on those who are trying to overturn the conventional wisdom. The conventional wisdom in the US is unfortunately that God exists, as well as universal conventional wisdom before Darwin was that God was the creator of life and the universe. Scientists like Newton did not ask anyone to prove to them that God existed. They just asserted his existence. It was axiomatic, and it is still axiomatic for vast populations of people. So, in reality, believers do not make a claim that God exists. They just live their lives as if God exists, and they rarely think about it or doubt it. If we really are trying to spread reason and critical thinking, it is up to us to challenge their conventional wisdom and prove that we are right and their God does not exist. It never hurts to disprove a specific God hypothesis and give people as many reasons as possible to doubt their default position, their conventional wisdom that they adopted from a very early age. As Sam Harris says, people can readily be reasoned out of beliefs even if they were indoctrinated and not reasoned to have those beliefs.